ever been reading a celebrity pastor's blog posts or listening to a famous Bible teacher and something jumps out to you and you're just like, how am I the only person seeing this thing? Why isn't anyone talking about it? Well, you're not alone. Welcome to Underdog Theology. This podcast is about looking at what's happening in evangelicalism. I'm talking tweets, I'm talking books, blogs, videos, all of it, and judging it according to Scripture. Whether that's reacting to celebrity pastors, teasing about the latest ridiculous battle in the culture war, or just having a little bit of fun together, this show is for all the folks who feel like they're on the outside looking in, who feel like they don't have a voice, who feel like they're an underdog. Welcome to Underdog Theology.
Oh, you thought I was done, didn't you? You thought, oh, Dean, he's taking such a long break. It's once a month. Yeah, right. He's never coming back. Well, I have returned, at least for one night only. No, I don't know. We'll see how tonight goes. But I am back, and I'm excited because I've got some thoughts. All right, I have some thoughts to share about a little something called truth. All right, we're talking a lot about truth tonight. We've got Paul hopping in here all the way at the bottom of the screen for some reason. And he says, the big UT. What a nice break from that other live stream from Milwaukee. What's that about? What's going on over there? Is there something happening in Wisconsin? Well, you know what? We're going to have some fun. You know, I forgot how to It's been so long. I don't even remember how to use this operating system. But did I ever? I don't know. Brandon, what's up, dude? Dean making a return like a WWE superstar. What would the song be? If you were coming in to WWE, like you're running down the ramp, let's say it's Royal Rumble. All right, we're starting with WWE. And because they have truth too. All right, it's pretty clear. They got some truth. Maybe not all truth, but they got some. And so like Royal Rumble, what music would you come out to? Let me know that in the chat or in the comments section because it's kind of fun. I've thought about that way too much, and I'd probably come out to Green Day's Brain Stew, I think. All right, don't go looking up everything, but I think that's probably the song I would come out to because it would be fun. Or I'd just fake everyone out and come out like the Undertaker. And everyone's like, oh no, and then it's like, oh, it's just Dean. No worries. All right, well, you know what? I feel like I'm the Undertaker today because I've been retired for a little bit, and we're coming out of retirement to talk about Clear Truth Media. If you're like, what the heck is that? Exactly. Like we're going to be discussing what it is, but you know what? We're here to hang out because unlike other streams and YouTubers who all they do is record their videos and take down the prosperity gospel guys, and then they cuddle with heretics that live in Idaho, and then just like they don't interact with the people at all. We are a YouTube channel for the people because we are the people. We are the underdogs. So we're hanging out tonight, and we're just going to have a good time. And, you know, it might not go the way that I wanted it to because Heather ended up having to work. So, you know, I'm on kid duty. I'm on insulin duty, and I was wanting it to be like a 3-hour stream. Like that's kind of my goal with these once a month shows. And doing like the full gambit. We're not going to do the full gambit tonight because I gotta put kids to bed. I gotta give more insulin later. I gotta watch these numbers. It's a whole thing. I'm a dad, okay? This is my basement. No one's paying me to do this. Nobody asked me to do this. Some of you guys wish I didn't. Hey, what's up, guys? Jamie Bambrick, what's up? Honest Youth Pastor, what's up? Keith Foskey, what's up? Everyone else who is in bed with Clear Truth Media. That sounded weird, but I mean, like just working with them. What's up? I know you guys are going to be watching this. I've learned about this. Like, I used to think like, oh, some of these guys will. And what I found out through ranking YouTubers and just having fun is that literally everyone will watch and they will all send me the messages. So I thought I'd get ahead of it and just say hi. Like some of them might not send me messages. They'll just watch and be like, I can't believe it. What is he going to say about me? I'm not really going to talk about you. But we are going to talk about the organization. But I want to just say hi to them right off the bat because I know that they're watching on the replay probably, because I'm also curious how YouTube is going to send this out because I haven't streamed. I'm a streamer who never streams. What does that make me? I don't know. A friend? A friend of some people? Let's see. Aaron says nothing. We won't hear about everywhere else. Oh, the Wisconsin thing. Yeah, you'll hear about it everywhere, whether you want to or not, whether I want to or not. Big UT sounds like his DJ name. Big UT is in the house. I don't know why I do that voice. I do that voice way too much. Carol says, can you pray for my friend Tiffany? She's in Texas. She's on dialysis and very ill and needs to be in the hospital. Underdogs, you know what's up. Let's pray for Tiffany. There's a heretic in Idaho. There's probably several. But there's one in particular that they all love. And we'll talk about that later on. Aaron says, kid duties, insulin duties, dead guy duties. Need to find another duty. Oh, man. We shall not be, he who shall not be named. Cough, cough. Doug Wilson, cough, cough. I'll say it. It's Doug Wilson. Some people call him something else, but I'm not going to call him that because I have principles. I mean, I probably will at the end of the show. I always say like, oh, that's dumb. I'm not going to say it. And then I say it. I made a logo for Daddy Daddies. So I'm pretty much, not above anything at this point. I think Tiffany has pneumonia. Ah, dang. That sucks. Nacho. That part doesn't suck. All right. Let's talk about Clear Truth Media. Let's wait. I have to get my Gen Z on, which means I have to hold the microphone. Why? No one knows. It's just a thing. It's a thing that they do. They hold the microphone. There's a stand. It makes like an inch difference, but it doesn't matter because I'm Gen Z now, and this is what we do. So we're talking about Clear Truth Media, which is a website and a blog and a YouTube channel and a podcast and a hub. We'll talk about how it wants to be a hub in a little bit. But first, let's talk about what even is this thing. All right, so Clear Truth Media, let's look at their about. And they changed things. There used to be a link for their manifesto. And they realized that's a really weird way to say it. So they decided to change it. So let's look at their vision and values and try to see what's going on with this, because maybe you've seen it. They've been making the rounds on Twitter, probably a bigger deal on Twitter than pretty much anywhere else. But as a lot of things go, you have slow beginnings. So this might be something that you see a lot more of in the future. Vision and values. Clear Truth Media exists to serve Christians, pastors, and the local church with doctrinally sound and relevant content. All right, doctrinally sound, relevant content. Sounds great so far, right? Like you might be like, I like that stuff. So maybe this is for me. Wait, we are committed to the following: unifying around core doctrine. Now, growing up in Fundy World, whenever I hear someone describe doctrine as core doctrine, that phrase to me is always a red flag and usually indicates that someone doesn't know their theology too well. And, if someone's talking about doctrine a lot, have you guys noticed this? They talk about doctrine, they don't talk about theology. Usually it means, they're just a little different. All right. They're usually not people who have gone to seminary, not usually people who, Well, listen to Blink 182, for example. Like, usually it means like there's some kind of fundamentalism attached, all right? When they're talking about doctrine. Now, I know some of you guys would be like, I talk about doctrine all the time. I'm just saying, like, to me, it's a red flag, all right? Core doctrine. Sharing cultural, or I'll just say, when you've gotten enough pamphlets given to you that they call books and they have core doctrine on the title, you start to get, a red flag whenever someone says core doctrine. All right. Sharing cultural convictions in alignment with Orthodox doctrine and historical Christianity. Sounds okay. Engaging culture and restoring truth to the public squares. All right. Now, this is where you go, wait, what? What do you mean? So engaging culture. Like, there's a lot of different ways that Christians choose to participate or run from culture, like the fundies. They run from culture, right? Like, they don't want to be involved with the worldliness because maybe there'll be an inclination to participate in that worldliness. And next thing you know, you've, just compromised. So they run away from culture. Then there's the people who embrace culture and they become those progressive wackadoos like me. Or at least that's what the internet says. But they're the progressives. And then there's the people who engage culture. And that's just a phrase that we've used over the last 20 years or so to talk about how you can go to movies and still, be upset about people's sexual ethics. So usually that's what people mean. Like, you can fall into those camps, and that's usually what it means. All right, engaging culture and restoring truth. That's the key to me. Restoring truth to the public squares. So the implication is that the public squares have lost it. All right. Like my mouse, I don't know where it went. Now I found it. Guys, I found it. Miracles do happen. Maybe I'm not a cessationist after all. There's a spiritual gift of finding your mouse. All right. But the public squares have lost their doctrine. I'm in a weird mood, okay? It's been a long time. I'm just going to goof off while we do this because that's what I do. And if people don't like that, it is what it is. Like, I am who I am. And this channel is what it is. And you're not going to change it. Because it's mine and I have the buttons and you don't have my password. Although I will say it has something to do with a superhero. Oh no, you're going to hack me. Public squares, they've lost the truth. And so they are the ones who are going to restore it. Ooh, restoration. This culture needs restoration. They've lost truth and here we go. They're going to give it back to us. So this is what they say. Many of the established platforms of the previous 20 to 50 years, which is a pretty huge. Oh, wow. I'm realizing you guys can't read this. Sorry about that. I guess it's just for me. Let's go with this and we'll try to do this. Can you read it now? You're probably watching on your phone. This right here is probably like 2 inches. Probably not even that. And you're just like, I'm never going to be able to read this, Dean. Just read it to me. Okay, I will. Calm down. 20 to 50 years of evangelicalism have caved to cultural Marxism. Oh, here we go. And liberal theology, progressives, leaving a vacuum of good content and pastoral training. So there's a vacuum, and we're here to fill it. It is important that we have a common space for conservative evangelical believers to find articles, podcasts, sermons, and other content that can build our faith. I need to put my finger down here so we can build our faith, develop unity, and help stand against the tide of progressive Christianity, otherwise known as wackadoodles. And, all right. So is that true? That's a question that probably should be asked. No. Like, there isn't a vacuum. Now, there is, like, always need for it. Like, you could talk about how we need more. But the idea that you could already see building in their vision and values is that everyone else is compromised and we're here to restore truth. So there's everyone else is caved, or no, not everyone. Sorry, so sorry. I don't want to put words in your mouth. Many of the established platforms of the previous 20 to 50 years of evangelicalism, they've caved on the core issues that they describe as cultural Marxism, liberal theology. And so they are no longer providing the good content that Christians need. And so here comes Clear Truth Media, like the cavalry, coming to restore truth because we so desperately need it right now, and we have to have it like them do it. That's what I get out of this. Everything in their marketing is pointed at this. They don't just say everyone is the worst. All right, they're not being like complete jerks about it, but they are saying that like everyone has caved. All right, everyone has caved, and we're here for clear truth. All right, which we'll talk about in a little bit. We call what we are doing post-denominationalism. And this is where I go, what the heck are you talking about? Denominations matter, y'all. And people who have never belonged in a denomination might not understand that. But you know that there is a difference between your church, what you believe, and I'm assuming that you believe what your church believes, and what the street, like the church across the street thinks. All right, you are going to be able to participate. If they preach the gospel, you're going to be able to participate with them quite a bit. But you know that there are going to be issues that pop up. And you know that those issues might get in the way of you guys being able to do ministry together. Denominations matter. When people start talking about how denominations don't matter, or we can move beyond denominations, I go, you don't know what you're talking about. Because people are people, and you might be able to say, like, guys, like this channel is filled like with people who disagree about tons of stuff. All right. Like not everyone is a Baptist. All right. Not everyone is a Calvinist. I'm a Calvinist. All right. Not everyone is whatever the heck I am. And it's fine. And we could have conversations, but we probably wouldn't be able to go to the same church. Right. And we would definitely have disagreements. And that's perfectly fine in this format. All right. But when you start talking about post-denominationalism, that to me is coming from someone who hasn't done their homework on denominations. All right. Or has something in their past that they think that like it just doesn't matter too much. Denominations don't matter that much. And it's naive. And if you're going like, oh, there hasn't been denominations for all that long. Yes, they have. Do your history. Like denominations have existed for a long time. They might not have used that exact term, but there are always groupings of different Christians because we have these disagreements that get in the way of all kinds of stuff. All right. And it doesn't mean that the other guy is the enemy or that they're way wrong or they're false teachers or they're whatever compromised. It just means that we're going to disagree on stuff because we're different people. And so for this idea of post-denominationalism, I just go, that's just hogwash. The theological term is hogwash. But this is not ecumenism, but instead unity within the evangelical church. This is not about compromising core convictions as much, which I love the way, guys, again, I'm in one of those moods. And this thing, like I've watched them online. I've done my research. I've listened to the podcasts. I've read the articles, and I'm ready to really go at this. All right. So that's my mood tonight. And if you don't like it, there's other videos you could watch. All right. There's a great video about Castaway. It's a podcast. There's a podcast called Dean in Real Life. There's an episode about Castaway that's pretty great, or at least that's what I hear. But you can go and watch that. But this idea, all right. This is not about compromising core convictions as much as it is choosing to unify around even deeper convictions. The way that's worded is that there is some. This is not about compromising core convictions as much as it is this. So, clear truth, you might want to clean that up because what that means is that You're compromising core convictions, but not as much as it is about unifying around even deeper convictions. So that's the way words work. All right, post-denominational is a church movement from a variety of doctrinal, methodological, methodological and structural positions, intentionally unifying around core doctrine, preaching clear biblical truth, and engaging the community by re-entering the public square. Sam is right on. Sounds like tribalism to me, right? That's pretty much what it is. Though we don't agree on everything. Oh, it's a good thing you put that, because we would have assumed. We choose to work together because we see the need for unity and clear biblical truth in a post-Christian culture. So you can see like all the breadcrumbs of where this thing is going, right? The post-Christian culture, post-denominationalism, core doctrine. It's Moscow Light. All right, that's what this is. This whole thing is Moscow Light, and we'll get into it. We'll watch the videos. You may find lots of people. I don't know why it sounded a little bit like a mixture of Sean Connery and Bane, but here we go. You may find lots of people who you agree with and some that you disagree with, but what you won't see is liberalism or heresy. Oh, well, that's good. The bar is real low. I'm having fun. We think these convictions can make us all better. Or so sorry. Can make all of us better. I don't read much. And help strengthen the church for the important work ahead. If you like what you see, join the effort here. All right, everyone take a guess what this page is going to have. Did you guess it? Of course. Subscription. Pay me to give out clear truth. You could reduce ads. That's great. I hate paywalls, just period. There's no paywall on this YouTube channel, never has been. You want to donate, that's a different thing. You have a fundraiser. We've done that here on the channel. Like all those things are fine. But when you start going like, we're here because there's such a need, and then you go, but it would be great if people could pay us for it. It's just, what are you really doing here? This makes me very skeptical of motivations for people who are behind this. Now, again, I get that you have to have finances to do a website. But this is a Squarespace website, if I'm not mistaken, and Squarespace doesn't cost that much. They're actually the sponsor of this. No, I'm just kidding. We don't have sponsors on this channel, but on YouTube, like they're all about it. So that's great. Let's look at this. So you got receive email newsletters, reduced ads. I don't know why I said that's so weird. Access to contributor town halls. Oh, exclusive streams. Private messaging with community, so you can say whatever you want and not have to think about whoever's going to read it. That's great. And then taking a battle axe to progressive Christianity, except for whoever made up this joke didn't realize that they would have to compress it. And so it's taking a battle axe to progressive. Well, we'll never know what that is, except for they tell us it's Christianity. What's going on? What is this thing? What is this? It's nothing. Yeah, we're gonna die. All right, so let's go over here and just kind of check out the website a little bit. We got some videos we're gonna watch if you get bored of this. Core doctrine, all good things, great things. These are the gospels here. So these are things we don't need to tease about. Like this is all good stuff. Even the end here, I would agree with that. Not everyone in this community would, but I would say that's biblical. And then you go down here and you start to get into, okay, so you got the core doctrine, it's very bullet points, and then you get a little bit more detail about some of this stuff, which always indicates to me that that's kind of what you care about more, and what you're really about. Let's see. Marxism is a vain, atheistic philosophy bent on disrupting the proper order of society in every sphere. They love their spheres. This one I thought was interesting. Race. We believe that God loves all races of human beings equally. Racism, which is prejudice, discrimination, or antagonism by an individual, community, or institution against a person or people on the basis of their membership in a particular racial or ethnic group, is evil and is a result of sin. Yeah, so that's good. But I just am curious if everyone who signs up for this thing would agree with this. Like, because honestly, this is one of the things I hear the most. Like, when it comes to this world, like this branch of evangelicalism, and they're pretty loud about this. That there is only one race. I need to go. There's only one race, right? Only one. And here you have God loves all races. So there's a plurality. I wonder if everyone who's a contributor would agree with that. I would, but, just curious because it's usually a talking point. And then they get into this issue of authority and religious and civil liberty. Now, with this, I was curious, are they going to be for Christian nationalism? Because everything else from this group would make you think Christian nationalists, but I don't hear it as much. So that's I'll say congrats, kudos to you. That I think that's probably a good way to be. Even if you think Christians should be active in politics, I will give them credit for not going further than that. So that might be something that not everyone agrees with. Not everyone is Christian nationalist who's attached to this thing. So they're making sure that, Christians should be active in politics, but like we're not Christian nationalists, or at least as an organization. So I'll give them the credit for that. And then let's go to their leadership. All right, let's look at who's actually in charge here. We'll come back to Stephen Whitlow in a minute, but we got Jamie Bambrick, editor-in-chief. As a Northern Irishman, Jamie has been in pastoral ministry for over a decade and currently serves as an associate pastor in Hope Church, Craigavon. I messed that up. He is also a video creator. That's what people know him for, having amassed over 1 million views on YouTube and 4 million on X in under 18 months. Look at him. What a rock star. Jamie's niche interests include Irish church history. Cool. And most any sport. Also cool. He is married to his wife, Danny. That's pretty cool. With whom he has 2 boys. Boys are great. So that's all great. But let's check out his YouTube and let's just see what he's about. And okay, so church culture and banter. All right. Why it's time to say goodbye to the Gospel Coalition. Oh, okay. Normal. All right. Now, we all make videos here on YouTube, and sometimes we don't, like we sensationalize things to get people to click on things, and we don't really mean it. I watched the video. He basically says goodbye to the Gospel Coalition because they're the liberals, they're the progressives. They've given into Marxism. He, like, you can watch the video. He goes into detail on all of it, of why they need to be told night, and like the way that he put it was like put out to pasture, like retire, like that kind of thing. He makes a distinction. I will give him credit for this. He makes a distinction between what he thinks about Christianity today and what he thinks about the Gospel Coalition. So Christianity today, he says, he compares it to a zombie. So he's already, like, Christianity today has already died of orthodoxy. Now it's just a zombie trying to act like it's alive kind of deal. And then Gospel Coalition, he is basically like they used to be useful and now they're no longer useful. And again, I've said it many times here on the channel. I've got a lot of issues with the Gospel Coalition and some of the things that have been written lately, the way that they don't care about their audience. They really don't. Like they constantly upset their audience and then go like, why are you upset? And like, just like, oh, the internet, they're just a swarm and they're mindless. And it's like, these are people. These are the same people that you used to like promote as like how many views you got on a video and how much success you're having online and all that kind of stuff. And now they don't matter because their feedback is negative instead of positive. So I've got issues with the Gospel Coalition, but there's tons of good stuff that the Gospel Coalition is putting out. All right. Now, to be honest, I don't read it. So it's been a bit since I've read some of that stuff. But assuming I'm assuming that they're still putting out some decent stuff, because I know some of those pastors and theological leaders, they're pretty decent people. Now, not everyone, but most of them are pretty decent, and they're wanting to help people. So, all right. But to just be like, it's time to say goodbye to the Gospel Coalition. Okay. And if you were to go through the videos, it is everything that you would think about Doug Wilson. You could just ascribe it to these people. They all love him. They all love Doug Wilson. They all love everything going on with the Moscow mood. I believe that there's even an interview with Doug Wilson here. But, I will say his background, his lighting, his style of editing, dope. Like he does have really good style. And I think that's probably the reason why he shot up, is because he's in the niche where you should grow, because you're like, there's a huge audience for that stuff. And his stuff looks better than everyone else in that niche. So it makes sense that his channel would be growing. So now he is on the leadership team. He's the editor-in-chief, which basically means he puts out the videos. And it seems like that's the vast majority of what they're doing. But then they have their chief executive officer. He's the CEO. He's the CEO and founder. Born and raised in Toledo, Ohio, Stephen is a founding pastor of Redemption Church and Revere Bible College. He has been in full-time ministry for nearly 20 years as a youth pastor, lead pastor, and church planter. Stephen is also an entrepreneur with ownership interests in multiple franchises. What franchise? My favorite is Fast and Furious. No, I'm just kidding. He is married to his wife, Lindsay, and they have 4 delightful children. Oh, so that's cool and everything. But then you go like, who is this guy? Have you heard of him? Probably not. So who is he? Well, he is the pastor of Redemption Bible Church in Ohio. But one thing I want to look at is president of Revere Bible College. When anyone says like, okay, he's a founder of some like academic institution, that always raises a red flag, because like if you're not going by Dr. something something, I usually go, I think I know what kind of Bible college this is, and I'm usually right. So let's take a look at Revere Bible College, and let's look at the leadership and faculty. Stephen Whitlow, beautiful picture of Stephen Whitlow right there. Sorry, I'm getting real like about some of this design stuff. Stephen Whitlow is the founder of Revere Bible College, a proven entrepreneur. Proven. He isn't a failed one. That's good. And gifted public speaker. Stephen serves as the lead pastor of Redemption Church, which opened in 2016. The 900-person congregation operates. I immediately go, why do you have to put this? This is in a Bible college. This isn't even on the church website or anything. And you're already trying to be like 900 person. You know that he just wishes that he could put 1,000, right? Like so close. Like you probably looked over and was like, we had 1,000 at Easter that one year, right? Can we put it? No? Okay. The 900 person congregation operates out of Monclovia, Ohio. No idea where that is. In addition to his work as a pastor, Stephen is a co-owner and managing partner of several Toledo area brands, including Urban Air. I should have looked these things up. I'm very curious now. I'm not going to waste your time, but you can bet that once this stream is over, I'm looking these things up. Urban Air, Snapology, and Revitalize Fitness. Stephen attended both Hillsdale College. Here we go. Academics. This is why I brought this up. Stephen attended both Hillsdale College and the University of Toledo, where he studied international business and politics. Now, the red flag should be going up, but it's followed by this sentence. He left college before graduation to pursue full-time ministry and has enjoyed self-study, ministry, and entrepreneurism obviously ever since. What's going on here? What's going on here is another guy starting a Bible college who didn't finish his college. What the heck? Stop doing this, people. Like, stop saying that you're starting a college or a university or a seminary when you didn't go to seminary, you didn't finish university, and you didn't finish college. Like, no one is saying, like, you have to do these things. All right? But just don't start an institution if you haven't done it. I don't know why that's so difficult for these guys, but every time you meet one of these entrepreneur types, like this, like Stephen Whitlow probably has a ton in common with Dale Partridge. As far as, like, I'm not saying theologically, I don't know. But I'm just saying, like, as people, like, they probably have a ton in common, like the entrepreneur type. And it's just often we find with these guys, they're starting these organizations and these colleges and institutions and charities. And it's like, you have no experience in that. Like, or at least you don't have the right experience. It's just, what? He left college before graduation. Well, how soon? Was it right? Like, he had the gown on and he was about to walk down and he's about to get the diploma, but then the Lord was like, get on that ship, Jonah. Like, no, probably not. I would assume that it was very quick. Like, these people are always like, I went there. I gave them good money. You know, I paid for it. So I'm going to say that I went there. Stop doing this and stop making your own stuff. Like, there's like, okay, what is this? Yes, it's a Bible college, but really what they're about, if you go into like their vision and values, it's about being an entrepreneur. All right. Like, we are post-denominational. Stop using that. Protestant expression unified around core doctrine. You can tell. So Stephen Whitlow wrote everything for both websites, as defined by the Apostles' Creed and extrapolated upon by the Reformation. So in other words, he's a Calvinist who got swept up in the young, restless reform stuff. We believe in free market economic theory, limited government, the greatness of the American project, manifest destiny, and ordered freedom. We train students to think critically and have practical skills to succeed in life. We develop leaders who are good stewards and practice real leadership serves people. We support the established church. We view Christian engagement in every sector of society as important for kingdom growth. We value entrepreneurism and support our students in it through training and partnerships. So it's basically business school. It's business school with a Christian slant and probably some Pauline epistles classes, right? Again, like I bring this up because he's the one who puts it in stuff, okay? Like, when you go, all right, you put it in here and you say that you're the founder of Revere Bible College. I'm going to look that up because you're saying that gives you credentials to start this other thing. Well, if you didn't have credentials to start the first thing that you're saying gives you credentials to start the other thing, I'm just like, it's like a double negative, you know? It's like you're not getting anywhere. But that's just with me. Probably a lot of people just don't care. But that's who Stephen Whitlow is. So he claims to be these things. He also claims, you know, like their church grew, and you saw that in the other thing by 900. In stories, I've watched some of the videos. It's very clear it was COVID growth. And the thing about COVID growth is that in 15 years, these pastors are going to look back at COVID growth and they're going to realize that it was all based off of politics, not on theology. And a lot of these people ended up leaving or causing problems. Because when you sign on to a church, not because of theology, you're going to run into problems. Like when it's a cultural thing and you just enjoy the culture of something, that's great. But culture only goes so far. Like you have to align with the theology. And so when you do that, there's going to be problems. But these people, they always want to talk about all this growth that they've seen since COVID and how the Lord grew the church. I'm not saying the Lord hasn't grown the church, but I just know up here in Canada, like a lot of these people that I know who talk about COVID growth or because they didn't shut down their church and all these people came over. I know those people who left their church to go to that church, and they're very angry people. And they got over there because they were ticked at that other church. It wasn't God working. It was just their anger from Facebook posts that made them choose that other church. So, revival does happen. So maybe it is that. Maybe those 900 people was that. But he talked about how it was during COVID and that they were, just a struggling church plant like anybody else. And then all of a sudden they had a lot of growth because they didn't close and because they were vocal about that. So that's the leadership. Now, what is this Clear Truth Media that they're leading? Well, it was born out of a conference. And let's take a look at one of those conference thingies. What is that?
Thrilled
their panel.
And then we got picked on by Christian Research Network because we put forward James Lindsay, Dr. James Lindsay, and they
So, what is this? Well, you have Stephen Whitlow closest to my head. On the other side, you have Joel Berry, who is the main guy. I think the editor-in-chief is the title for Babylon Bee. And the two of them, I know Jamie Bambrick is in there, but he's like, I assume running like the daily stuff of putting up the blogs, putting up the videos, curating all that stuff. But the real people behind it are Stephen Whitlow and Joel Berry from the Babylon Bee. And this is a conference that they did. They had a bunch of different speakers, and a bunch of them are not great, including Rob McCoy. If you don't know that name, he is the TP USA, so Turning Point USA Faith co-founder. So not the whole organization, but the evangelical arm of it, which I guess is different. So he's the co-founder with Charlie Kirk, who you might know. And so this is what he's saying about James Lindsay.
ridiculed us that we headlined at a pastor's conference an atheist. And I got letters, well-meaning couple, just, listened to Christian Research Network, came after us. And I said, do you hold the same standard for the pilot of the airplane that you fly in or the surgeon who does your heart surgery? James Lindsay isn't professing to be a Christian, but like a pilot who understands the controls or a surgeon who understands your heart, James Lindsay, better than anyone in America, including most pulpits in America, understands critical race theory and queer theory and Marxism. Now, granted, he's gone from being an atheist to an agnostic because he believes in absolute truth. And as I told James, his name's Jesus. And wouldn't you want a guy like that surrounded by pastors? And every single one of them, I've witnessed at least 50 times he's been evangelized. And he finally came to a place, he said, I'm compelled, but it's not going to be a head issue with me. It has to be hard. Pretense that they were going to drive him home to his hotel and just, poor guy.
Weird cut there. I don't know if you guys noticed that. I always notice that because this is the stuff people are putting out to promote. Like they're doing like a whole push. Like they started July 1st, and this was a whole campaign to basically launch this organization. Not going super great, just as far as numbers right now with the names that are attached. Only 1,000 subscribers on the Clear Truth Media YouTube channel. I'm assuming that their blog is really big, and on Twitter, I'm not sure how much, but they probably get a lot of interaction, I would assume. It's the kind of thing that would be really big on X. Twitter.
But I'm excited about this. Yes, numbers are declining, but really, who is caring for them? And really, what were they given? And now as we're watching orthodoxy and we're seeing confessions of faith and the essentials of the Christian faith and the tertiary doctrines, but coming together, endeavoring to keep the unity of the Spirit and the bond of peace, I think, and you guys may not see this, but I'm going to tell you right now with my travels, I think this church and this conference is the tip of the spear of what God is doing in America.
Everybody loves that. We're going to clap for that. Clap for the home team. Are they the spear of what is happening in evangelicalism in America? I don't know. Maybe. Well, I guess time will tell. But that's the Turning Point USA with all the politics that's attached to that. That's who they started off with. So interesting way to get started. Not really focused on doctrine, the core doctrine, not really at the forefront. Seems to be mostly politics, and that's where this thing got started. It was born out of a conference. So what is the kind of content that they are making? Let's take a look over at their YouTube channel and let's just kind of look through this and see. All right, so they got 92 videos, which most of those are going to be shorts. But let's just go to videos and just kind of have a look. Well, they're talking about women, clear truth for a world, and that looks like it's a sermon. There's a couple sermons from Stephen Whitlow in here, a couple conference sessions, but then they have a podcast. They got a podcast, and that's him and Joel Berry right here. And let's take a look at the podcast. And I don't know why.
Also with that though, sometimes there's that you're just when you get into politics, you're engaging in in the world. Jesus' kingdom is not of this world.
Let's start over here.
Built the site is just
and I had it in my notes. My notes are gone. Thanks, Apple. Let's go. I think it's around the 16-minute mark when they start getting into this whole thing. Well, let's start at the beginning, and then we'll jump to an important part. Ooh, fresh.
In a confused
if
world.
you are impressed, don't be. I was. And then I watched another YouTube video that YouTube recommended to me today, and it had the same intro with a different logo. And I realized I'd been had. But this is dope. Like this right here, this is really cool. Even the music is really cool. I dig it. But it's a copy and paste. Or at least you pay and then they copy and paste. Are we going to work? All right. They got mad at me.
In a confused world, we do not need an ambiguous church. We need a clear one. Well, I'm Stephen Whitlow. I'm pastor at Redemption Church, and I got with me here Joel Berry. Joel, why don't you introduce yourself?
My name is Joel Berry. I'm the managing editor of the Babylon Bee, longtime friend of Stephen Whitlow, and we're here to introduce you to something that we've been talking about for a very long time, something that we think that the church needs right now, something that the world needs right now, and we're very excited to introduce it to you here today.
Yeah, and there's a lot of podcasts out there. There's a lot of blog posts out there.
Podcast, Steve?
Yeah, and that is kind of a question, right? Like, is this just another podcast or a blog site or whatever? What are we trying to do here? And the answer is, it is a podcast, and there are going to be written articles, but it's so much more than that. I think it's a vision for what the future of American evangelicalism can look like, which is a broad, big, kind of audacious statement.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that we're going to paint that picture of what it can look like. But we do want to push, I think, whatever sphere of influence we have in a direction. But I think it's also fair to ask, how did we get here?
Yeah, because right now one does get the sense that American Christianity is kind of sitting in this pile of ashes after the last 4 to 8 years of cultural upheaval and apostasy and deconstruction. A lot of our beloved institutions and Christian leaders have kind of left us or gone woke or gone wayward. And so I think a lot of people are wondering, what's next? What's the new thing? Like, how is evangelicalism in America even going to survive into the next century? Is it going to be something new? Is it going to be a new religion? Is Islam going to take over,
like it did in England?
Yeah, like it's currently doing in England. A lot of what we're doing here is an attempt to answer that question and build the next thing out of the ashes, so to speak.
Yeah.
So there you have it. Not grandiose at all. Not feeling self-important at all. It's just everything is in rubbles, and we're here to build something out of the rubble that's going to be the thing. It's going to be the thing that's going to he said, not paint a picture, but push toward this vision of where they see evangelicalism going. So that's interesting. But let's jump ahead. And again, this is just the first episode. There's tons more, but we probably won't dive through too much. But let's take a look here.
Unifying around core doctrine. Mm-hmm. Why is that important?
Well, I think you use this term post-denominationalism.
Yes.
and which
I didn't make it, but I'm commandeering it.
Yeah. And there are a lot of Christian camps right now that are very small communities, small bubbles that are doing some really cool things.
Absolutely. And we love those guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah, my wife, the one reason she's like, I don't know if I want you to do this because I like the guys at Canon so much, and I don't want them to not like us.
Yeah, we love
So if
Canon.
any of the Canon guys ever watch this, we love you.
Yeah, the Canon guys, the Moscow guys.
We also probably just lost some followers because we said we love the Canon guys.
It probably.
Which we're also okay
that's what we're
with.
talking about.
Yes.
People don't want to play nice. But, guys like the folks in Moscow, and there are others that are doing great things, but are never really going to break out of that small little bubble of people that they're talking to. And we feel that the time is now to start to fellowship around the core doctrine, the core orthodoxy that we all share. Not leaving behind all the little particulars that we believe in.
You're going to have secondary views,
but
and that's okay.
Being willing to unite with others that have those different secondary views for that common goal of really of helping the church to be better salt and light in our culture.
Yeah.
To kind of move the needle in this cultural battle that we're in, but also politically, to be better organized to create good policy, to elect good, godly leaders. I mean, we need that. The church has really abdicated its responsibility to make sure that we have godly leadership in place.
If I was going to say three things that the church has abdicated its responsibility in over the last 30 years, and then check your mind on how these fields are doing: education, counseling, and government.
They're all a mess.
Yeah. And they're the three things that the church has basically said, we're going to take our hands off of those.
Exactly.
So we have seen what happens when the church steps out. And unifying around core doctrine, it's not about not caring about doctrine. We very much care about key Orthodox doctrine. We just want to operate in what I call the post-denominational box. And so when we do release more of those names, pastors and people that are a part of this, they're going to cover the box. But each and every one of them is in an Orthodox position that we can look and say, I can stand with that brother or sister in Christ.
And there's, like you said, there's going to be some differing viewpoints, and I'm actually kind of excited about that. I mean, if people are willing to play nice, there's going to be some fun debates, some interesting discussion about, baptism, eschatology, and some of these other things that we just have differences on. And that's what a great witness to the world when you can see Christians who differ on these little things, still humbling themselves, working together, loving each other, and just as Jesus prayed in his high priestly prayer in the Garden of Gethsemane. It's biblical. It's a great witness, and I think it's really important, especially right now with the kind of the forces that in our culture and in politics being very united against the church and against the truth of God. It's time for the church to present a united front to stand up for what's right.
We will never win sectioned off.
No.
And then fighting each other on Twitter. we will never win that way.
But fighting on Twitter is so fun.
It is fun, and it creates followers. You've got a bunch of them.
I'm not sure where it is, but they also talk about taking the Moscow mood to the megachurch. Like that's a direct statement from Stephen Whitlow about what they're trying to do, is taking the Moscow mood to the megachurch. So essentially, they talk about how they love core doctrine, and oh man, they are so focused on core doctrine. But then they're bracing up a heretic. Like they're saying like, oh, we love what Doug Wilson and Canon are doing over there in Moscow. We love what they're doing there. We're big fans of what they're doing there. And then they're like, but we care so much about core doctrine. No, you don't. Because if you did, you wouldn't be elevating a heretic. But once again, they don't care because Doug Wilson says the cultural things that they like. And they've learned a lot. Actually, there's a podcast. Oh, do I have it? I think I might. You know what? I think I have it. All right, sweet. I'm trying something with having my notes and having links in my notes.
Crazy if you
rather than just having tabs.
create voiceovers that sound like a
raspy old man.
A young teenage girl.
Okay, here we go.
It for like 21, 22, 23. And then I got introduced to a guy named Doug Wilson, who I'd never heard of.
Sure.
up until probably 2021.
Yeah.
And so Doug Wilson, Canon Plus, all this stuff. Like I have been in Christendom for 20 years now, in a top 100 mega church in the country. I have no idea who this guy is.
Right.
And so started reading some of that stuff.
That's amazing. Yeah. Now you got Tucker out there on Tucker Carlson, or Doug out there on Tucker Carlson.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy. I felt the same way. I'm like, who are all these people that I've never heard of, and why am I not allowed to hear them again? And tell me more. And so it makes you more curious. Well, that's really fun. Well, we've got this thing coming up, launching if you're a listener, July 1st, Clear Truth Media is live, where you and I are part of this new venture called Clear Truth Media. And so, we've been talking about this for a little while now, but what was kind of the impetus for you in starting something like Clear Truth Media?
So in 2022, we did a series as a church called Clear Truth for a Confused World. And we did this mailer, and on the top of it was, this is what the world says, very blunt, and then this is what the Word of God says, very clear. And it was in 5 areas: men, women, marriage, family, and society. And so we sent out a mailer, we did some social media advertising, and our church grew 50% in 5 weeks.
Wow.
At that point in time, we went from a church of 400 to a church of 600 in 5 weeks.
Wow.
I've never seen anything like it. And it was just the clear truth of the Word of God. I go back and listen to some of those sermons every once in a while. They weren't anything magical. They weren't like the greatest 5 sermons I've ever preached. They were just needed in the moment.
Yeah.
Because those 5 things, men, women, marriage, family, and society, were under absolute attack. And so that kind of clear truth, that language became something for us in 2022. And then we just kind of rode that out over the next year or so.
So you could hear it at the beginning there, very much influenced by Doug Wilson, and he had never heard of him, and then just started listening to all his stuff. Same for, I forget what this guy's name is. Is it Chase? I think it's Chase something. Yes, Chase Davis. So he talks a lot about Acts 29 and how they left Acts 29 and how Acts 29 is bad. So that's this channel is essentially a lot like that, but very focused on like the Doug Wilson stuff. And that's what I'm talking about when I start. Like, some of you guys are like, why are you talking about Doug Wilson all the time? Because it's still happening. Like, there are still guys like this who maybe don't know anything about, federal vision. They don't know how to look up some of the documents that are attached to that and why a denomination would say that Doug Wilson is a heretic. And they just hear, people don't like him because of the, that robot book, or because of his stance on slavery in the South, or, something like that. And they don't care as much about that stuff. And so they just start listening to him. And then next thing you know, they start these organizations that are very much in line with Doug Wilson, and it's problematic. And, there's no gospel. Like, up until this point, have you heard them talk about the gospel? Even when Joel Berry, Babylon Bee guy, when he was talking about how we can be salt and light, he was saying it as like our political stances on things, or our stances on morality. Let's say just sexual ethics, like a biblical sexual ethic, that our stance on that is being salt and light to the world. There is an aspect of our righteousness being something that points people to God. Pursue righteousness so that people can see your righteous actions and glorify their Father in heaven, right? So there is an aspect to that. But when we're talking about being salt and light, we're talking about our belief in the gospel having an effect on how we behave toward people, not our political stances or how we vote or what we rant about on Twitter, but how you actually interact with people, the ethics of the kingdom. You can't separate being salt and light from the Sermon on the Mount. Like, you get the Sermon on the Mount, which has a lot about the ethics of the kingdom in it, and then you go and be salt and light. Like, it's about the gospel. But these people don't think about the gospel very much. They think about clear doctrine, core doctrine, clear truth, biblical truth, and they don't really talk about the gospel too much and how it transforms us. that is super problematic. But that's what this Clear Truth media is about. This Clear Truth media is about politics. It is about the stuff that everyone was angry about, or some people were very angry and vocal about in 2020 through 2022, whenever the pandemic ended for you. It lasted a lot longer up here, but like they're still, you go onto their videos and you hear them talk about all these different issues with the church, and they'll always go to the churches that close their doors. And again, practically nobody closed their doors. Practically nobody. There were a few, but most churches were meeting. They were meeting in smaller groups. They were trying their best to be able to, align with different medical, whatever stuff, guidelines, requirements, whatever word you want to use for that. But most churches were doing that. But of course, they're compromised and they're woke. And TGC is asleep at the wheel, but not about like this far right resurgence of a whole bunch of just awful stuff and fundamentalism. Like, it's not about that stuff. It's the woke stuff. It's the Marxist stuff. It's the, fill in all the key words so they can get all the SEO working so they can grow their blog. That's what this is. Clear Truth Media is Moscow Light. It is Doug Wilson Light. It's everything that they have learned from him. And now they're taking that and trying to bring it to the megachurch, trying to make it more palatable. And even as Joel Berry said, those people, like he references the Moscow guys, they'll never grow because they're just like essentially being too forthright with what they're saying and too niche, that they're focused on that one particular person. We need to grow that niche. We need to be more general, but same stuff and talk about the same exact things as what he said. All right. You bring the same stuff, but you're making more palatable for those people. That is super dangerous because you're basically going to have the same issues. This is a political fundamentalism. This is the rise of the far right. And honestly, it's not going to work. It's not working. It's not going to work. But that's where this organization is, and that's what they're dedicated to. So, yes, I saw some people talking about, so is this who I think it is? And yes, this is the church or the organization that has those names. So they're contributors, their team. They have Tom Askell. So I don't know. I would love it if someone were to go through all the associations that Tom Askell is on, like some steering committee or some some board for, or like, what are they also like talk about advisors. Like, he's literally has his hand in everything. I don't know how a senior pastor can be a part of so many organizations, but he finds a way. So Tom Askell is a contributor. You got Jamie Bambrick, as we already discussed, Megan Basham from the Daily Wire, and everyone in that world just loves her to death. And most other people go like, why do you guys love her? So you love her because Jesus loves her, right? Jesus loves everybody. But as far as like, why do they always like, all right, put her right at the top. And then Joel Berry and Joe Boot, for which Canada apologizes. I'll represent Canada. But if you don't know Joel Boot, or Joe Boot, he is the Ezra Institute guy. And there's some more here. Rosaria Butterfield is a weird one. She could never be pinned. Like, for a while, she was like in the TGC camp and then not in the TGC camp. And then she goes on Joel Webbin's stuff, which I will say these guys do make a clear distinction between them and like the Joel Webbin, Brian Sauvé camp. Like, they didn't exactly say, I forget what video, one of the videos I watched, they kind of made it clear of who they were talking about. Like, kind of similar to what they were talking about the Moscow people. They're like, they're also doing good things, but they're a little too far. They go a little too far on things. So that was kind of interesting. But Rosaria, she doesn't care. Michael Clary, like a lot of like the meanest people that you see on Christian Twitter, they are on this list. So Michael Foster is one of those guys, and very interesting to me how they can have, like they separate from the Moscow camp, and then they have a bunch of people who are always doing stuff with canon, like Michael Foster and Keith Foskey. A lot of people don't know that about them. They think about him as the funny guy with the denomination videos, but he loves Doug Wilson. And you've got Joshua Hames, who him and his buddies just made pretty much a hit piece on Theocast, and also left me some comments or whatever. I don't think it was his account. It was like the Red Pill podcast account, Reformation Red Pill. Gen Z theologians are the worst. Okay. So then you got all of them. And let's talk about the guy who says all kinds of nasty things to abused women in the SBC. Let's make that very clear. Rod Martin, this guy who is one of just the worst trolls on Twitter that you will find, and claims to be a Christian. I highly doubt it just by his behavior. All right. Like I don't say that a lot about different people, but this guy is literally the worst. And has said all kinds of horrible things to women who have been abused in the SBC. And here he is. He gets to be part of this. Why? Because he brings followers. And, you got Honest Youth Pastor there going by his real name. And one weird one, I don't know who this guy is, but I was surprised to see it. Grimke Seminary. From what I know about Grimke, it's pretty good. So that was kind of shocking to see that. You got the anti-woke sports guy who doesn't do sports. I don't know. He probably plays sports, but he doesn't really seem to talk about sports, but he talks a lot about other things, but he talks like his whole thing is that he's a sports guy. I don't know how that works. You got Samuel Say. You got Colin Smothers, another one of those guys who's just great Twitter follows, and Stephen Whitlow. Oh, and then you got like literally Doug Wilson's right-hand guy, C.R. Wiley, and the Doug Wilson of Canada with Nate Wright. I've gotten many a message about that guy from people that know him. All right, so that's what's going on. That's what this is about. So do I like it? No. There you go. That's my takeaway. That's what you can do. Is that stay away from these guys. Whenever you see a new institution get started, you need to do your research. And even if they have a decent logo, all right, I'll say it. I'm not above these things. Like, come on. Like, is it simple? Yes. Is it also kind of baller? Yeah, it kind of is. Like, look at that. It looks pretty slick to me. Now, earlier I said this was Squarespace, but it's probably WordPress because it has ads over here, and ads are hard on Squarespace. But, it's got a good logo, and you might see some smooth graphics from them, but always look into who is starting this thing. Oh, yeah. Sorry, Shanley pointed out. Even in my mind, I'm sorry, I just don't care about Christian YouTubers all that much. I know that's seems very counterproductive, but I never really think about them as being worthwhile. I'm sorry, but in my mind, I even just skip past Mike Winger because I just don't take those kind of people seriously. But you know what? No one takes me seriously, and you shouldn't. Again, I'm in my basement. Some people get really mad about things that I say, and it's just I have opinions, and I'm sharing my opinions, and I think they're right. You think they're wrong. We can move on, so it is what it is. But then he just started going too hard on the comp side, right? And this is the thing. Whenever you hear someone and they sound like they're smart, look at their associations. look at who they hang out with, and then make a decision about whether you still think this person is worthwhile to listen to. If they're saying like you watch a video and it's about a simple doctrine, you're like, they nailed it, right? Like, because they can. Like, they can nail certain things and be like, oh, that was such a good video, or that was such a good podcast. Well, do a little bit of research on them, see who they hang out with, who they platform, and usually that'll show the actual like biblical intelligence. We got emotional intelligence, now we got biblical intelligence, and then you can decide whether you really like a teacher or not. For me, it means that most of these guys are too naive to do the research into other people that are being platformed, or they just don't care and they just want, another platform. I think that if you're hitching your wagon to this, you are saying more about your politics than maybe even you want to. Like, some of these guys, I think, are probably on their own a lot better than this and the other people here, but they're hitching their wagon to this thing, and this wagon is a talking wagon. We're going to go real deep with this metaphor. It's a talking wagon, and this wagon is saying that everyone else sucks. And that's when this wagon is the only wagon that's going to give you the thing that every other wagon needs. Everyone's a wagon now. This is Pixar's wagons of this metaphor. But if you're going to hitch yourself to this wagon, like, I think it communicates a lot about you and what you care about. And if you do care about other things, then maybe you should think a little bit more about your associations and what you want to be about. Like, if any of these guys who watch this, because again, there are several YouTubers on there, and what I've learned about every YouTuber is that they watch me when they think they might be talked about, and they're going to watch it. And if you're one of those guys, I don't think you should be partnered with these guys. And if you're like, oh, maybe this is a little bit different than I thought, then maybe bail on this. Like, you don't need it. Like, they're not platforming you, you're platforming it. All right. So that's where this new organization is at. Let's just take a look, just because I'm curious. Let's take a look. So they're at 5,748 followers, and Dr. Ed Romine made a big mistake. No, just kidding. I love you, Ed. But all right, so not many. Let's look at Facebook. We already looked at YouTube with 1,000. Facebook, they have 1.2 thousand followers. This is not much. This is very much at the beginning. So if any of those YouTubers are thinking about like their association, just realize that you are the one who is giving them credibility. Mike Winger, you're giving them credibility. Honest Youth Pastor, you're giving them credibility. Maybe you don't want to. Like, I don't think those guys would agree with a lot of the stuff that gets put on here. And I think they should maybe think a little bit more about their associations with that stuff. That's my opinion, but I'm just a random guy in a basement that looks like this and has mostly VHSs. Because I don't care about theology. I only care about movies. All right, let's hit up the penalty box.
You want to see a penalty? I'll show you a real penalty. Get on my face, man.
Memories all alone in the moonlight. Not surprised. Okay. Winger's series on women in ministry was something else. Yep. Also, Mike Winger couldn't debate on anything with anyone without doing all those emotional appeals that only reveals his insecurities on his own positions. I don't know. I don't watch debates. At the risk of sounding mean, I don't trust Mike Winger. They can have him. Okay. I don't think that was mean, by the way. Wendy says, whoa, wait. I left for a minute to grab my inhaler. Is Mike Winger involved with Clear Truth Media? 100%. And yep, the comp thing. Let's go up a little bit. This Rod Martin guy kind of looks like Colonel Sanders. Johnny, this looks like a comment that I'm going to read in a minute. So let's be nice. I'm surprised Tom Buck isn't on here. He's too involved with G3, which, if you noticed, conspiracy time. If you notice with their contributors and G3, if you were to look and see whether there's a crossover, not a lot. You would have thought a lot more. So I think that there was probably a lot of interactions between those two groups, because I would think that Clear Truth Media would want some of those guys to be writing. But I think that there's probably a hard line now between G3 and Moscow, and not wanting to be associated with that stuff. And I'm really happy for that. You know, G3, I've got my issues. Josh Bice, I know he's one of my favorite viewers. So, you know, I got my issues with Josh. But I will say they seem to be holding that line pretty strong, other than cross politic for some reason. They just let them do whatever they want. Yeah. Yep, that's kind of what they're doing. Yeah, like this post-denomination thing that he talks about, it's in his own mind. And it means whatever he wants it to mean, because honestly, there's no such thing. But, you know what there is? There are such thing as mean comments that I get. Why wasn't there a sound? Did you hear a sound? I didn't hear a sound. Here I am whining about sounds. Let's do this.
2 minutes for slashing and 2 minutes for roughing.
Thank you for that, referee. Who is the referee? If that referee voice was someone, who would that be? In my head, it would be David. David Collins. But I don't know. Is it Michael S? Is it Aunt Wendy? Is it Heidi? Who is it? We know it's not Aaron. All right, let's go. Mark Driscoll has not changed. Hashtag shorts. Hashtag rise and fall of Mars Hill. Hashtag something else that I was trying to get a view with. So this is from Tomism or Tomism. I don't know what religion that is, but he says, dude, you're a crybaby, degenerate. Because once again, this was about Mark Driscoll using a GIF of literally shoving down another player when Shaq did a dunk, and used that in reference to someone saying that he hurt them. And he was literally saying, I don't care, get out of my way. And apparently that makes me a degenerate for saying that's a bad thing for a pastor to do. So thanks for that. I really appreciate it. Let's go with number 2. Are we going to get a sound? Let's see.
The following play is under review for a major or match penalty.
Oh, I'm glad about the sound. Not about this comment, though. All right, we got 1 Corinthians 15, which I got to say, this is the first time that a scripture verse has literally made an account to come at me. So here we go. I can't believe it, but I'm fighting with the Bible. 1 Corinthians 15, 1 through 4, KJV. They said, that is crazy. I don't particularly like John MacArthur and his attacks on the King James Bible, basically to sell his own Calvinistic Bible version, or indeed his Calvinism. To me, it is an offense that a Calvinist now pretends to defend the gospel against the charismatic circus. Calvinists got no gospel at all. And then he went on for like 50 more pages about how Calvinism is heresy and how I'm a heretic, and that John MacArthur is also a heretic because he likes them Calvinist stuff, and that Calvinist stuff ain't no gospel at all. And here's the deal. This kind of comment is just not, doesn't have, like, this video has literally nothing to do about Calvinism. So it's off topic. Also, you're wrong. Also, don't leave me 50-page comments, people. Even some of the good ones. Like, I even get it with the good ones. It's literally in like the community guidelines is to be short and to the point, you know, and I don't want to basically say like, leave me a paragraph. And if it's more than a paragraph, I might not read it. But that's kind of what I mean. I just read the first part there. I thought it was hilarious and put it in here and cropped it off because Otherwise, this thing would be so small because he literally wrote like a book. And it's just, don't write books. Get your own blog, people. This is my YouTube channel. If you want to give your thoughts so much that you have to like go into Word and format it, like you need to make your own blog. All right, there are free websites out there. There's this thing called Twitter. You could, well, actually it's called X now, but you can write a thread. You can go onto Threads and write a whole bunch of threads about how you hate Calvinism, but like just make your own stuff. Like you obviously care about this thing. So Bible, 1 Corinthians 15, 1-4 KJV, maybe think about starting your own channel. You're obviously passionate about this thing and, put your stuff out there. Now, do I think anyone should watch it? Heck no. But, you're free to do that. Just don't leave comments like this on my channel. Next up.
2 minutes for slashing and 2 minutes for roughing.
Let me try to get skinny. Okay. McLean Bible Church and a better way to do church business meetings, which I was pretty firm in how I thought that, I don't even remember his name. David Platt. That's his name. I had to think about the book title, like everything before I got to his name. Radical. So radical. He ruined radical. Also, why is rad such a cool word and I use it all the time, but whenever I hear radical, I'm like, what a dweeb. What is that about? It's the same word, Dean. I don't know. These are my thoughts to myself. So this is user UU9YJ5TT4V. Do I regret even starting to read that username? Yes, I do. Looks like they don't preach that gluttony is a sin. You're so funny. Also, just where did this even come from? Like, this has nothing to do. It's not even like, I agree with David Platt, or I don't like David Platt, or anything about that. Just like, I guess this. Well, thanks for that. You remind me why I really don't like Christian YouTube. So, you know what I think about that?
Big yikes.
All right. But thanks for that. I really appreciate it. No, I don't. I don't appreciate it at all. What else are we going to do? Well, we can hang out and I will read your thoughts. But first, I have to take a little bit of a break. Yeah, it's a perfect time. I just nailed it with the timing. I don't want to toot my own horn too much, but I pretty much nailed the timing there. So we're going to take a little bit of a break. I have to go give a kid insulin, and then we will hang out, and I will read your thoughts and, share some more. Hop into the chat. Now is your time. I'm going to leave this keyboard. I have mods. Mods, are you there? Don't let anyone be like, Clear Truth Media is the way. Get all going. But I'm going to leave for a little bit, and probably like 5 minutes, and then we'll return. I shall return with shout of victory over mine enemies. You would be surprised how often I actually say that to my wife when I say I'm going to go get milk from the gas station. But I don't go to the gas station because gas station milk is overpriced. All right, we'll be right back, but we're going to take a little bit of a break. I'll be right back. How many times do I have to say it? I don't know. One more time. We'll be right back. Probably a bunch. Welcome back. We're here to hang out and hear your thoughts and drink water directly into the microphone. Was that gross? Was it as gross as I thought? All right, let's look at some of your guys' thoughts. We'll start off with Johnny. I don't know what's going on with Ecamm, but every time they're so small, they're itty bitty. Also, I'm just gonna mess around with this because we're just hanging out now, and I want it to have color. So we're gonna add a white background, and don't worry, we'll worry about the texture. Text color. What are you guys in the mood for? I can't hear you, so I'm gonna go with. Let's go with one that's easy to read. I'll go with red, but we want it to be like, not like super bright. So we're gonna go there. Let's see. Why is it this? What is going on? Why isn't this Futura? Do they not know how big I am into Futura? It should be Futura Bold. And this should be not Helvetica New. What? What are we writing a paper for Bible college? Where's Futura? We'll go medium. And that looks nice, but let's change the color a little bit. We'll go black for that. And then we gotta remove that stinking shadow effect. And is that good? Yeah. Let's do this. Okay. Anybody knows where Dean went? I only see a young lad with his microphone in his hand. That's right. I lost a decade. I shaved a decade and became a youngin' by holding my microphone. Hands up if you are progressive wackadoo like Dean. I wasn't going to say it. Carol Ann, what's up? It would be nice if Christian... I don't know why I'd even do anything online. I can't talk. I would like to say it's the heat. It is 84 upstairs in my house. We are having consultation tomorrow to put in air conditioning. I was really hoping that we wouldn't have to do it and bite that bullet, but it's 84 degrees upstairs. So it's supposed to be 90 all next week. Not weather talk. We need to have a segment for weather talk. But I would like to say it's the heat that makes me talk so weird, but it is just the way I was wired. I don't know how to talk. It's difficult for me. So pray for me. Thoughts and prayers appreciated. Hands up if you're a progressive wackadoo. Yep. Okay. Caroline, it would be nice if Christians would be nicer to each other on social media. Wouldn't it be? But then what would we do? Like share like gospel-y stuff? Goodness. No. Like we're there to make fun of each other. Isn't that the whole point? What are we going to do? Like actually interact with culture? Get out of here, Caroline. Just kidding. Bobby says, past 50 years sounds like a racist dog whistle. What major shift in Christian cultural understanding happened about 50 years ago? Woke. It's a woke. Everybody get him. Get him for the woke. I love it. Ian says, Clear Truth Media needs a better editor. A lot of the pieces I read weren't written well. 100%. I was getting a little too mean, but I have a whole segment where I was going to point out how ridiculous some of the articles are written. And like if you were to like take these articles and submit them as Bible college papers, not even seminary, like Bible college, a lot of them would fail. Johnny Appleseed, is that a horse in the logo? Revere Bible College? What those a horse in Christian symbolism even stand for? Why a horse? Well, because it's not about Christianity. It's about Paul Revere. Like it literally is about Paul Revere. I'm not making that up. That's what it is. Why revere? Because he was a Christian. And because he stood up for biblical truth in the public sphere. And because no one else had that name, and you can get Revere Bible College pretty cheap on GoDaddy. All right. Red flag, get yourself educated, my dudes. Yeah, it would. Wouldn't it be nice? Okay. Urban Air is a trampoline park. Okay. Thanks, Aaron, for doing some research. I have a fly. What is thoughts and prayers for me about the fly? I shouldn't make fun of that. Urban Air is a trampoline park. That's pretty cool. Snapology is a STEM learning center. Now I'm going to have to Google STEM learning center. And Revitalize Fitness is a gym. That part I guessed on. And then Aaron also said they act so bewildered as to why people might not like Moscow. It's so funny to me. There was like, why do they not like him? I don't know. What's the deal with Cannon? Everyone turns into Seinfeld. What box have they been living in that makes them think that the church has taken its hands off of counseling education? Right? It's like, I don't know. Like, well, for this guy, he came from like Assembly of God, then to Megachurchville, and then to his own version of Fundyville. And yeah, so maybe in his world, they just like didn't think about that kind of stuff, but in pretty much everywhere else they do. Like every denomination does, like even Presbyterians, they have like their classic education schools. And then the Fundies, like they love like all their different homeschool curriculum that they turn into a school. Like they all have it. So I don't know. And counseling, like, yes, every pastor thinks that they're capable of doing incredible counseling. Why did it go all the way to the top? I don't want it to be at the top. We gotta go all the way back down, all the way down to the bottom. Let's see. Let's see what is going on here. Where are we? What is happening right now? All right, now we can do this. This is what we can do. Are you guys ready? Badoom! Ho ho! Yes. All right. Does this work? Nope, this is dead. Okay. Let's see. Yep, we already talked about that. Shannon Lee, this stuff was why I was so paranoid about dating any guy from church. They talk about a slippery slope on the left. It's on the right pretty bad as well. Yeah. Like it's very easy. Like there used to be a thing that people would say, like that you don't drift right. I think the last couple years have proven that to be false, right? Like there are lots of guys who very quickly drifted right. Like they go like, oh, you only drift left. Nope. The church has kind of proven that one. Yeah, it happens. Philip says, I don't need to click on it. Oh my goodness. I need to do this. Okay. It is on both sides and in the middle. The slope shifts depending on how much traction each side gets on any topic. Kind of true. Oh my, we got a KJV onlyist. There's always a KJV onlyist. I just barely ever read them. I just thought that one was like kind of crazy. And I've gotten so many of those comments where it's just like, get your own blog. Like, I get it. You want to leave your comments, but a lot of the comments aren't even about me. And it doesn't seem like it's a copy and paste, like you put it on everywhere. Like, but it's just like about the person. And it's just like, you just go write a blog about it, man. Like, just go do your thing. The owner of the Babylon Bee said he was against Christian nationalism. And then Joel Berry did this. Well, I don't know Joel Berry's exact position on Christian nationalism. I just see that there's a lot of things that are very much associated with Christian nationalism as part of Clear Truth Media, but it does seem like they've made it a point to not say that they're pro-Christian nationalism. So maybe that was part of the reason why Joel felt comfortable being able to be a huge part of this, but he is. Amen, brother. I'm assuming that was about my shout of victory over mine enemies. And Bill, what's up, dude? Hey, can't stay long, Dean, saying hi on the road. We'll post later. And folks, hit the like button. Oh, snap. It'll be very interesting to see how this goes. Mostly because I haven't streamed in a long time. And I wonder if YouTube is just like, who cares about this guy anymore? He barely does anything ever. So I'm curious whether everyone who usually watches this show will be able to watch this show and whether it even gets into their subscription feed and stuff. Break convo. Is there anyone on the Clear Truth Media list that surprised you? Who do you think is missing? What an interesting idea. I wanna play this game. Let's see. People that surprised me. I guess Rosaria Butterfield, although like I said, she was on Joel Webbin's show and said some really outrageous things. So I guess I'm not that surprised. Some of these people I don't even know. So the people that I know, I'm not surprised. Oh yeah, Jared Moore. I forgot, the guy who literally just calls everyone gay on the internet as a way of making fun of people when like they're just wrong, like as if it was 1986. Just super weird. What a weird dude. But yeah, some of these guys like T.W. Norman, don't even know who that is. Guys I would have assumed would be on this. Whatever his face from J.D. Greer's church. The guy who talks about politics a lot. And like he's a member of J.D. Greer's church. He's just a member. He's not on staff. I'm forgetting his name. Shenvi? Neil? Is it Neil Shenvi? Neil Shenvi? If you could come to the front. The lights on your car are on. Neil Shenvi. But I would probably guess him as someone I would have thought might have been on this list that just isn't. But most surprising, I'm not really surprised. I don't know. Like maybe that just shows how pessimistic I am. I'm not really surprised by anybody. But yeah. But it'll be interesting to hear what you guys think. Philip says, obligatory 50-page comment on breaks and why donuts go with coffee. Who dips? You guys dip? Why did I click on it? I have a whole thing. I don't know why I do things. This is right here. Self. Why are you clicking on things? I dip my donuts in coffee if I have it. Especially like the sourdough donuts that don't have a lot of frosting. That thing getting dipped, y'all. The intermission music, though. You guys missed that? Heidi says, I honestly expected to see Rigney on the list. Too closely associated. Although I guess Wiley is on there. So, yeah, I guess. I don't know. They probably reached out and he was probably like, I'm too busy. I have he says he's a pastor. I don't know. Also super weird to go from pastoring a Baptist church to not just being the president of a Baptist seminary, but pastoring a Baptist church to immediately pastoring a Pentecostal church or Presbyterian church. Shouldn't even say Presbyterian. They're heretics. I don't know. I guess I don't know what denomination like you should call them. I know they have their made up one, but it's super weird that he went from pastoring that to pastoring another one. But yeah, he probably has like 1,000 other things that he's involved in, like him and Tom Askell, like they're having a race for how many things they can be involved in. I think Tom Askell's winning. I was surprised to see Keith Foskey on the list. Guess that means no more your favorite Calvinist podcast for me. Well, I mean, it's not true. Because I'm your favorite Calvinist, right? Johnny Appleseed? Right? No? Probably not. That's okay. I'm not even my favorite Calvinist. Yeah. I've shared my thoughts about that channel and him, like, it's okay. He's funny, but he's very much the same as all these, canon guys. He's in the Moscow Mood Camp. He goes to all the conferences. He speaks at some of the conferences now that he's been a big deal because of his denomination videos that everybody loves. Okay. Like I'm happy for success on that stuff because it's funny. Like the idea is a good idea, and even if I don't laugh at them, I don't really watch them, but it's a good idea. And I'm all for Christians doing funny stuff, as long as it's actually funny. And Keith Foskey does seem like he's kind of a funny guy. So there's that. Brandon says, I'm surprised more of the new Christendom people weren't on there. Brian Sauvé, Joel Webbin, Eric Kahn, Chase Davis, etc. Chase Davis is. He's right here. That's that that foolproof theology guy that we looked at the video. So that's Chase Davis. You can't see my mouse. That's Chase Davis right there. So he is there, but yeah, a lot of the other people that you would think, nope, not on there. What I keep wondering is how these Theo bros work full time, are proper husbands and fathers to all those kids, and have time to get involved in this stuff, not to mention the conference and podcast circuit. Honestly, I have no idea, because I know how busy I am. And like, I barely ever do this anymore. And I'm doing my movie thing. And honestly, I don't even spend as much time on that as I would like to. And I know like how just time consuming those things are. And those are my own things. I don't even have to orchestrate with other people and like get like all our ducks lined up of, being on a call and knowing who's putting out what content, what day, and if we're going to do a podcast together, when are we going to do it? Me and my buddies do a podcast or a stream every once in a while, but it's, all that stuff is super time consuming, not to mention the guys who travel and do the conference circuit and all that kind of stuff. So those guys, I have zero idea how they have so much time. Because I mean, I remember even when I was a senior pastor and working on my blog, not YouTube, just my blog, and how much time I was spending on my blog, and how I would stay up late to write on my blog like 3 times a week, and in order to do that and do everything else I needed to do. And that's just a blog. So like, it's just weird. I would imagine that a lot of them convince their churches that what they're doing is for the church and it's an investment in the church. I've seen that go around a lot of times. Sometimes I think it's actually true when people are working on like their own YouTube channel and maybe the YouTube channel of their church. I can see that. But when you're talking about this organization, like, that's not for your church. Stop playing. So many Christians seem to roll their eyes at the Great Commission nowadays. It's like it's too soft for them. That's right, because what are you, a pietist? Yeah. Yeah, I am, actually. I'll take that one. Johnny says, I would not have been surprised to find the transformed wife on this list, but I guess she is even too hardcore for them. She's too hardcore for anybody. Like, that lady is hardcore. Wow. She's something else. Brandon says, that's fair. Hard to speak clear truth on mermaids. It's very true. But I mean, like, mermaids are real. So there's some truth there. I agree with you, Heidi, that Rigney not being there is definitely a little bit of a surprise. More mouth noises, please. That sounds super weird. But you know what? I'll give it to you. Is this what you want, internet? And somewhere Aaron just like took his headphones and threw them. Brandon, or no, wait, sorry, Heidi first. I could see Brian Sauvé being on there if he wasn't hanging so tight with the other guys. Somehow he can sound more reasonable in his extremism. That's kind of crazy. Maybe you're right, but that's also kind of crazy. Brandon says, I care about you, Dean. Thank you for what you and the Underdogs do. I've appreciated you over the past couple years as I've watched more. I should say we care about you. Oh, that's so nice. I appreciate that. On the team website on Clear Truth Media about Joel Berry, it states that he is the editor of the most popular satire site in the world, the Babylon Bee. All three attributes are clearly a lie. Man. Here we go. What's up?
I need Sally.
You need Sally? Come here.
Sally toy. I need Sally's toy.
You need Sally toy?
Mm-hmm.
Do you like Sally? You like cars?
Yeah.
Have you ever been interested in a show about wagons?
And Monsters Inc.
What are you just pacing around my set for? It's not down here, I don't think, if that's what you're looking for. Henry, do you want a show about wagons? That's like cars, but it's wagons?
Yeah.
Would you hitch yourself to that wagon?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. That's one person. I'm going to pitch this to Pixar. It's like cars, but a Western. All right, buddy. You head upstairs. I don't think Sally's down here. I'm not sure where Sally is. Maybe in your room? You already looked? Might be on the porch. Okay. Yeah, the Babylon Bee thing. It's a lie. Yeah, well, that's the Onion, which they stole their whole thing from the Onion. Their whole idea. That's the thing about Christians. I got to say, like, we just, like, people get on me about, like, oh, creativity in Christians. You don't think Christians are creative? I just think that they steal a lot. Like, they just, like, there's something about Christians to where they just don't care about intellectual property and they just steal ideas. It happens in the world, but as Christians, it should happen far less, and it keeps on happening a little bit more than what I see in the world. So that's just kind of bad. And the Babylon Bee, they just literally took, like, there were a couple other people doing it, but the Onion is what everyone knows, and they just made it Christian. Like, they just took the exact same thing and just said Christian things instead, and they got really popular. And then they shifted to just conservative things instead of Christian, and now they're super popular. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. Also, there's something that, like, I forgot to talk about that Stephen Whitlow said about, like, how the Babylon Bee has become like the hub that people go to. And we didn't look at that part in the video. But he talked about them being the hub and that they had a real opportunity to do something about them being the hub, the source of truth that a lot of Christians go to. And that to me is just like the most ridiculous thing ever. No one goes to the Babylon Bee for truth. All right, they go there for laughs and for trying to make fun of the other side. That's really what it's become now. It's not really all that funny. It's just kind of really pointed, over the top humor that I find distasteful, but whatever. To each their own. It's all subjective, I guess. So that's what people go there for. And then even the fact that you're thinking that they go there for truth is, I think it shows everything about you and what you think about truth. Like, you're talking about a parody site and being like, they're the source of truth, they're the new hub, and they need to do something about it. So ridiculous. I used to enjoy the Bee so much, it's sad now. I enjoyed a few things, but like, that was early on. It would be interesting to make a list of the denominations that are represented on this list. Yeah. Be a lot. Many. But a lot of them have left. I think you would have none. Like, you would have a category of none that would be the most, because a lot of these guys have left their denomination because of the woke, because of the drift, and they left and now they're on their own. So it'd probably be a lot of that, but there would be a lot of crossover. It's all right. We're just hanging out now. So my oldest is like trying to stop him. You still can't find Sally?
Sally from Monsters Inc.
Oh, Sully. Oh, you're looking for Sully.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay. That was somewhere. Probably is. We'll get it tomorrow, okay? I'm sorry. I thought he was saying Sally from Cars. All right. The real denominations or the made up ones? That's pretty good. They are all made up except Baptist. We are the originals. Have you never read The Trail of Blood? Yes, we are the originals. And you're welcome. We saved Christianity. Let me start. 1, Southern Baptist Seminary. 2, please refer to the point above. Yeah. Aaron Armstrong says, I can confirm that I did that. What did you do, Aaron? Also, hi, Aaron. How are you? I hope you're doing well. What color shirt are you wearing? Oh, wait, I know. Wendy says, these guys are a mile wide and an inch deep. Oh, snap. Shots fired from Wendy. Yeah, that's, yep. Is it over? Next time we'll do like more segments and stuff. It's just, I did have a letter from the culture war, that, I just saw Aaron's thing. I did have a letter from the culture war, written, and then I was about to shoot it. And then there was a shooting, and I just felt like it was kind of distasteful. So I threw that out, and then I didn't write another one. So, it was, if you couldn't tell, it was mostly about Trump. And I was like, I don't really want to be making these jokes right now. So we'll do letter from culture war at some point. I'll make a video. I'll write another one, leave Trump out of it. And, I'll shoot a little video and I'll drop it sometime, before the next one. But yeah, we're just hanging out. You know, if you got some questions, now is the time. Now is the time to throw them in. Gen Z. Every time I'm just going to say Gen Z when I hold my microphone. Oh, that's not. Why is it? Sometimes. Why did I just literally got mad at myself for doing it. I'm such a robot. I'm sorry. Aaron says, I threw my earbuds when you slurped. Sorry, bud. And yes, this is a new black shirt. Thanks for asking. I love that. By the way, if you don't know Aaron Armstrong, I know I've said it before, but Aaron is legit, y'all. Check out, it's aaronarmstrong.com now, right? Like, I think, Aaron. But blogging theologically, like, it was around the early days of the Young Restless Reform movement stuff. And blogging theologically was like one of like my top, like I had it pinned in my Firefox of websites to go to and look up. Did he write a new article? I'm reading that article. Did he talk about comic books? Anytime Aaron would talk about comic books, I would just go over the moon. So like he's legit, y'all. I'm not legit, but Aaron is, and he's in the chat with me, so I feel more legit. It's way better than Joe. So much better. It's kind of crazy. Although they do wear the same color a lot. This is me vamping, waiting to see if you guys want to hang out a little bit more, if you're done with me. Are you guys done with me? Have I served my purpose? This is things I think about a lot here on this channel. Have I served my purpose? You know, is there any need for underdog theology anymore? Maybe people don't like underdogs anymore. And if that's true, what does that mean for me? Oh, sorry. just having an existential crisis while I'm waiting for some comments to come in. Like any normal YouTuber. Okay. I think I'm funny. You know, like I got told a while back in Fundyville that I'm not funny. And this was coming from like a couple people, actually, who I was hanging out with. and one was in their 70s. So I'm going to say it's because they were in their 70s. But also one was in like their, like my friend who was like 40 years old. And they were just like, like, I actually don't think that you're funny. You're so much, like, they would be like, you're smarter than you are funny, which to me is a huge insult. But like, there'd be like, nah, you should stop saying things as jokes, like you're such a, you're so good when you're talking like sound and, whatever. And you're just not that funny. And I let that get into my head a lot. So sometimes I go like, am I funny? I don't know. I kind of think I'm hilarious, but that kind of messed with me a little bit. But you know what? Them fundies, they like their jokes. And I would always just roll my eyes at their rehearsed jokes that they got from a book. And it's just like, oh my goodness, it's not funny at all. I don't know. What am I doing with my life? Okay. Let's have some more existential crises later while the camera is not on. Can I ask a theological question? Depends. Is it really hard and going to make me look dumb? Did you not hear me say that Aaron's here? Aaron, or Johnny. What was that one? Michael S. is talking about movies. Michael. We talk about movies all the time. All right. Let me go like this. All right. I mean, if he desperately wants to conquer the church's back, why didn't Redeemed Zoomer join Clear Truth Media? Could have been some publicity for his campaign. Oh, that's actually a pretty good call. Like I would, looking at this group, I would kind of think that maybe like Redeemed Zoomer would be in there. What is the difference between the providence of God working in individual lives, i.e., specific direction, and not being a form of continualism? So you're talking about the gifts, right? Like you're talking about the gifts and continuing with the gifts, and how is that different from the providence of God working in individual lives? I mean, like there's a way that you have to think about God that just opens up pretty much the gate of everything. And for me, is one of the core reasons why, Michael, you're ruining the stream with all your awesome movie insights. But that will open up and make it like why I think Calvinism is feasible is because God is outside of time. So people don't think about that enough when they talk about like interaction, like that they act as if God is reacting in real time, and he's not. He is outside of time. And that isn't the same as like looking down. Like this was the phrase that I heard so often in Fundyville, the corridors of time, which I'm assuming is just like, you guys remember, I think it was it X-Men Origins that did it? No, there was a different one. One of the X-Men movies, the intro is like going down like this hallway, and it's just like all these like American history and like world history stuff happening. That's what I imagine when I think about the corridors of time. It's not that. It's not God reacting through time. It's that he's literally outside of it, which is kind of like mind bending. But once you realize that, you know that God doesn't react the same way that we do. And he is not in time the same way that we are. So God, working in individual lives isn't reacting in the moment for him to do things. God has predestined, not just foreknown, which is a big difference. All right, predestined is action. Foreknowledge is knowledge. So he knows the future, and he has already acted in a way that will have that thing happening. So for God to work in our lives, it's not like he is reacting in the same way. So continualism would be that you are reacting with the gifts, right? Like, so you are thinking that God is giving you the gifts to be able to, continue to work. I'm assuming that's what you mean by that. But I don't believe that the gifts continued, or at least the miraculous gifts do. But yes, God does still work, but it's not in real time the way that we experience real time. It's not him stepping in this moment and acting. Does that make sense? Probably not. I am 70 and you cracked me up tonight. Well, that's good. At least one person thinks I'm funny. This sure beats Milwaukee's worst. Low bar. Of course, Fundyville wouldn't find you funny. They are the butt of the joke. Yeah, kind of. Many people have lost their sense of humor. Yeah. If your wife thinks you're funny, you're fine. Well, I'm screwed. That's what that means. Dang it. No, my wife thinks I'm funny, but she doesn't think I'm as funny as I think I am. What does this say about me? I'm seeing something that no one else is seeing in myself. Not just the girls, but more in terms of hearing from God, not just the gifts. Okay, so just hearing from him. Well, yeah, God works in our lives, but like I said, it's not like a reaction in the moment kind of thing. But yeah, he's orchestrated things in our lives to be able to happen. Our prayers are effectual. Like, it does accomplish something. It's not meaningless, our prayers. The prayer of a righteous man availeth much, right? Got some King James for him. But like there is something that happens there. God does hear our prayers, but when he interacts, it is not in the moment in the same way. So I would say that would probably be a difference between like the idea of hearing from God, the way that some charismatics mean it. But I would have to probably have a discussion with them about what do you mean by that. I know you were trying to be supportive, Aaron. It just didn't work. You kind of ruined his confidence there, Aaron. Nah. I don't know what it is about me, but no one can shake my confidence. I don't have much, but what I do have is not getting taken away by pretty much anybody. So I don't know. I don't know what that means about me. Maybe I should be on this list. Maybe the person missing is me. And if only I was on Clear Truth Media's board, I would be able to be the real movement that would raise up. That's language. That's English. Raise up this bulwark of truth. I would be able to buttress this truth. and rise up from the ashes and establish something that would be long lasting. If only they had me. Now a moment of silence for Dean's YouTube channel. I don't know. What are we doing here? I don't know. I'm waiting. I'm waiting for you guys to throw me questions that don't make me look dumb. And I don't know. Whatever. Or I'm going to go and probably put my kids to bed, because probably that should be something that I do eventually. Right now they're watching Monsters, Inc. So it's a pretty good movie. I don't want to interrupt. It's summer. And it's 85 degrees now upstairs. I don't want to go up there. That's kind of what's happening right now. It's nice and cool in the basement. Are you encouraged by what you see happening in professed Christianity? What I see happening? No. What I know is happening? Yes. Like, what I see when I look out at Christian internet world is that it's filled with people fighting. And like, I get it. I guess, I don't know, I'm a little bit of a hypocrite on this one, is like just debating and like calling people out and all that stuff. I see that stuff and I don't like it. Now, usually when I look at something and I see that, I go like, it's the conservatives being like, everyone is woke and all that kind of stuff. So that's not encouraging to me. And I see a lot of that stuff online. And I think that's probably just because algorithms, They push the negativity and they just want it out there. But like I know that the gospel is getting preached. Like I know a lot of pastors that preach the gospel and are good, faithful pastors. So while I don't see their stuff on Twitter, or like they're not popular on YouTube, or like they don't do anything online, some of them, like that, like I wish that they did. But like it's not something that you're going to see, but it's something that is happening. And the things that I know that are happening in Christianity, that encourages me, because for as many as organizations as these that get started where they just, mock, or not mock, but they misrepresent. That's probably the best word to say. They misrepresent, Christianity as being like this, like everyone has compromised. There's so many of these kinds of things out there, but for every one of these organizations, there's hundreds of more churches that preach the gospel faithfully. For, like all the Julie Roy's articles that get written about this church, this pastor, either abusing or covering up abuse, there are 5 churches that handled it properly. Like, I don't know, that's a stat that I just made up. So 90% of statistics are made up on the spot. But that's what I know is happening. So I am encouraged by what I know is happening, but not necessarily by what I see online. Aaron says, real question. What has been the most surprising thing you've learned about Canadian Christians in your time in my native land? A couple things. Like the first thing, right off the bat, I was shocked at, like, because I always heard horror stories of liberal Canada and like how everything is liberal up there and healthcare is the worst, like all that kind of stuff. And like all the horror stories that conservatives say about Canada, they always use it. Wyatt from TGC Canada, he said it on my show. He was talking about basically Canada being used as like this prop war, like from the States, as like they always point to Canada and they basically just use it to say this is going to happen here, like this horrible thing is going to happen. And like, so I knew that, but I was kind of shocked at how liberal a lot of Christians were, like just on theological things, not even necessarily on like politics or culture. But there's a lot, like in a lot of denominations have like a lot of variance within it. And I was kind of shocked by that. I'm also a little taken back sometimes by, I know it sounds ridiculous, like in corny, but like the like politeness of some people. Like I have to be careful about like how I talk with some Canadian pastors. They take everything as like offense. Like I don't know. I'm used to a little bit more of fiery people, and maybe that's because like a lot of my like ministry has been in more fundamentalist circles than like my ministry up here. But like I'm used to like pastors being a little bit more staunch about things, and a lot of Canadian pastors are pretty just, I don't know, like laid back isn't the right word, but they like, yeah, they are laid back, but it's also kind of like, I don't know, they're a little bit flippant on theology, like, or at least I think a lot of are. And, and that's not everybody, but it is some that I've interacted with. And it's been kind of a little shocking to see how open they are with a lot of things, which I guess kind of leans into like the liberal side of how much like within a denomination, you could have so much variation on what I would think would be a lot of like core stuff, core doctrine. But I like to use their word. But yeah, but like, there's still like a lot of good stuff. Like there have been some things that have been negative, but a lot of positive things too. Heidi says, seems like almost as important as those questions. Heidi says, Dean, do you like cargo pants? What would you fill the pockets with if you wore a pair? No. I mean, like, I'm not one of those guys that has to like have like the latest trends, or whatever. But I mean, I do have standards, and cargo pants, they cross the line. Now, if I were to wear cargo pants, which I would never do, but if I were to wear them and I had like that amount, I mean, I'd probably go with peanuts, because then you always have a snack, like you always have a little snack in there. And, they don't go bad super fast. If you leave them in your pants when you put them in the washer, it's not going to ruin anything. It's just like you got some shells casings, and like you could fill up one leg can be all peanuts, and then the other leg can be like the open shells. And like whenever you find a trash can, just empty your pockets and you're good. No, I'd probably fill it up with like all of Henry's insulin stuff. My pockets are usually pretty full. Although right now, I have his Dexcom just connected to my phone, which has been reading a lot better. And also, I'm so glad, because we had his on a 6S with a battery attached to it because the battery was so dead. And so now I don't have to carry 2 phones, which really felt like 3 phones because of the size of that thing. And I cannot even tell you how like freeing that is. Like, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, it would usually be that kind of stuff. If you would go on Clear Truth Media, it wouldn't just be Clear Truth. It would be the truth, boy. What is the square root of pi, man? Honestly, even if we have a woke crisis going on, then so be it. All those minorities, gay people, and I dare say it, women exist. We cannot hide from it, but still have to engage it in Christ's love. Yeah, we do. Hey, glad y'all are still here. Stepped away to enjoy some time at the beach. I don't care what Joel Webbin says. California is awesome. Liberal. Woke. Oh, tots. Oh, that was the right answer. Why didn't I say that? You guys like my hair? Oh, snap. It's a summer cut. I've been wearing a hat all day. All right. Heidi just read that in character. You've been a positive influence, Dean. You're welcome. You're welcome. Yes, that's right. Here I am, changing lives. One episode about 2000s movies at a time. Oh, yeah, and theology. I forgot. Some of you guys are like, I knew he forgot. He has hair? Yeah, I have 4 at least. No, I'm not like Joe. Like I've got hair. I'm a little self-conscious right now because my hair, it looks really dumb when I don't have it done. I've got a little mohawk going. Okay, come at me. All right, internet. I have nothing to lose anymore. Yeah, I've got a little mohawk, but I didn't want to shave because I burn real easy. So I didn't want to shave it completely. So it's just really, 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 really short, and then mohawk. But yes, I do have hair. And I was growing it out, and then I went and hung out with my brother-in-law in the pool, and his hair is like about yay about yay long. When have I ever said yay? Other than yay, but it's about yay long. And his looked so good, and I was just like, well, my hair isn't going to look that good. And then I went home and chopped it all off. I wear hats all the time, so I don't really care. Remember when you shaved or trimmed your beard and traumatized yourself? Wendy, you don't even know. About every 4 months, I go through this like phase, like it's a week basically, where I look in the mirror and go like, I think I want to shave my beard. And then I go to my wife and I'm like, do you think I should shave my beard? And she's like, I want you to think about what you thought after you shaved your head or shaved your beard last time. And I'm usually like, I didn't like it. And she's like, that's what I don't like it either. So I can't shave my beard apparently, because then I turn into a wee little baby boy. I mean, if I shaved my beard and held my microphone, I could be like a real influencer. And then maybe, just maybe, Clear Truth Media would let me in. All right. I don't know. I do like shaving my head though. I'll do it. I don't care. Whatever. As I rip my headphones off. I have done it before, where I have. Okay, it's not going to do it right now. But I have shaved my head completely, and done the beard, and that was fun. You know, I might do that. Immediately once I go upstairs. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait like a week and a half, because we have like a full week and a half of 90+ degree weather and super sunny, and it's like the sun is out to murder every Canadian in the prairies, and we're not ready for it. And I don't want to give the sun a target on my head, so I'm probably gonna wait, and then maybe I'll shave my head completely. I'll look real tough. Have you discovered a favorite Canadian band yet? I mean, I would say Tragically Hip, but that would be a lie. I don't like it. What's the one? It's like real, like rom-com sounding, like attempt at like emo punk. Click 5? Is that the name or is that a song? My wife loved that band when we first met, and I kind of like it. Other Canadian bands, I don't really know any, to be honest. Like, I don't know. I've kind of fallen out of love with most music, as most things. Guys, I got to be real honest with you. I'm stuck in 2008. I don't know how to escape it. I'm stuck in 2008 with movies, music, theology, apparently. Like the theologians I like. Like, the former bloggers that hop into chats. Like, I'm stuck in 2008 and I can't escape it. And basically that's I just don't like anything that's new. And I love things that are old. I love things older than 2008 for sure. I listen, probably if you were to look on my Apple Music of most listened to bands, it would be the Beatles, and then maybe James Taylor and Jim Croce would probably be like my top 3, I would guess, just by what I like. And then, probably Simple Plan, something like that. All right, now I'm self-conscious. I think I'm getting paid. I think I'm getting plaid wallpaper for my office now, thanks to the set. Yeah, this came with the house, and I covered it up on, like you've seen it covered up probably on the sets. I tried, I was like, I want to blow it better, and so I got some contact paper and put that on the other side of the room, and had that for a while, and it looks okay. Like, it looked all right on the set, but it gave like a weird glimmer from the light, and I didn't like that. And then plus I was like, I kind of like the plaid. I should have just kept the plaid and saved the money. So that when I was like doing the movie thing, I was just like, no, I like plaid. So it's back here and I love it. So, and the VHS stuff and all that kind of, I don't know, it just gives real basement vibes and I love it. So you need some big sugar in your life. Aaron, I don't know what that means, but I'm hoping that's a band. Okay. Maybe I'll look it up. I'm being 100% serious. I dig it. I know you're being 100% serious, and I love it too. And a lot of you guys were like, just keep it. Just keep the plaid. It's kind of fun. When I like originally asked, I was like, do you think? And like kind of threw it out to you guys. Some of you guys were like, no, paint it, whatever. And then some of you guys were like, keep it. And I was like, man, I'm going to paint it. And I regretted it. So I spent like, I don't know, probably $80 on contact paper stuff that I don't even like and just kind of ruined this room. But yeah. Oh, I thought you thought I was teasing, LOL. I thought that you thought that I thought. Don't you hate it when stuff happens like that? You just start going down this rabbit hole of, no, but what I meant was, no, what I really meant. Just, where are we at? That impression sounded like Roger the alien from American Dad. Which one? I don't know. Well, could have been both. It's not Liberal Drift, it's a band. Everything is awoke. That's guys, I just found the title for my first book. Because my first book got rejected from a bunch of people. Have I told you guys those stories? I thought I was going to be an author for a little while. I had a book. Desiring a Good Work was the title of the book. And it was going to be about the practical steps of getting into ministry and what people don't tell you when you want to be a pastor, and giving some practical insights, because getting into ministry is hard and it's actually pretty cutthroat. And unless you know somebody or you're at a church that looks on the inside for like hiring people. And so I had a proposal put together and sent it out to some people and got a lot of rejections on that. I wonder if they would still reject me. Yes, they would. 100% they would. They would reject me even harder. Desiring a Good Work. What a good title. I mean, like, obviously it's scripture, so like it's not super creative, but I thought it was really good. Story time. It's not a story. It's just nobody wanted me. So you know what I did? I got a microphone and a light and a camera, and I made my own platform, and it's called Clear Truth. Ah, man. I'm assuming that's a story for a lot of these guys. I'm just saying. Like, I think a lot of these people who are making their own platforms, they're making those platforms because the platform they wanted they got rejected from, or they couldn't make the cut. And so then they started making up their own. And, you know, like, that's not shade on them. It's just like, it's hard. And like, if you got the tools to succeed where they don't want to try, go for it. You know, it's a free internet. Sad story time. I mean, it's not that sad. I was pretty young, so I don't think most people are like, maybe be in ministry for a little bit longer and then maybe you could write a book. But it's like every kid coming out of seminary thinks that they got a book idea ready to go. And that's the thing that I love most about Tim Keller, is that he started writing books in his 50s. And I just think that's so smart. And like, that shows such humility that he was just like, cause it's not like he just all of a sudden became Tim Keller. He was Tim Keller the entire time. And he just decided not to, put out books until, and he was in his 50s. And I just love that. I think that's so cool. I wish more people did it, but here I am at 34, putting my stuff on the internet. Yes, I am 34. Yes, I know. Them some city miles. One of my favorite jokes ever. You got some city miles on you. All right. That's it. That's where we're at. That's the show today. Thanks for hanging out with me, internet. Thanks for accepting me back onto this platform. And thanks for letting me hold my microphone like I'm about to beat someone in the face with it. And, we might go full WWE. We'll see how things shake out. We'll see how some of these comments line up. And 1 Corinthians 1 Corinthians 1-4 KJV. You want to leave your comment now? Huh? You want to leave that comment? I see you. I see you typing. Do you want to leave that comment now? All right, bye. I don't know where things are. Where is it? I used to have a button. All right, now bye. Bye.